Welcome to Recap King channel. The Island movie story. The Fantasy Island. The island starts with a montage of dream scene successions, and a thunderous male voice saying you're unique. You have an extremely specific reason throughout everyday life. You've been picked. The island looks for you. Lincoln 6 Reverberation. Ewan McGregor snaps conscious from his fantasy. A drone show above him on the roof of his room declares the location of a whimsical rest cycle. As he sits up, one more presentation on his wall demands his attendance at tea. Lincoln 6 Resignation appears at the turnout local area for work. He and an occupant named Jones 3 Resignation, Ethan Phillips, are using injector instruments to deal with supplements into tubes that lead to where the inhabitants' banquets are. A lovely young lady reports the victor of the most recent lottery as Starkweather 2 Delta. He's been decided to be assumed to a position known as the Island. A picture of Starkweather 2 Delta, Michael Clark Duncan, shows up, talking euphorical. 3 Reverberation asks a couple of different residents how long they'd been with the compound. He's been there 7 years while never scoring that sweepstakes, and he's distraught. Lincoln 6 Reverberation is exhausted with the gig, in spite of the fact that Jones 3 Reverberation thinks that it is fulfilling. Lincoln goes into the washroom and sees one of the slows down is involved. McCord is puzzled as Lincoln pulls open. At the cafeteria, Lincoln 6 Reverberation swipes his armband, and the nutritionist declares that his accessible decisions for the day's morning meal are organic product, cereal, and wheat, in light of keeping on observing of his supplement levels. Lincoln 6 Reverberation is miserable about this, searching for some level of more full, better tasting breakfast, yet the nutritionist doesn't move and takes his disposition with dismay. She apportions a slop-like cereal onto his plate with some foods grown from the ground and Riley says, "Yummy." Lincoln 6 Reverberation wraps up drawing a sketch of the boat. It's a wonderful and very much delivered sketch, with the word Renault what yo. Lincoln 6 Reverberation doesn't have the foggiest idea what the word implies, yet it generally shows up in his. Dr. Merrick says the tests and sweeps are innocuous. Metal restrictions snap shut, sticking Lincoln 6 Reverberation's hands and feet, and keeping his head against the headrest. Dr. Merrick places a progression of small mechanical gadgets on Lincoln. Gondu 3 Reverberation brings up another resident in the compound, one more overcomer of the tainting that made Earth dreadful. More survivors are being found routinely, and the fresh debut, named 7 Foxtrot, is being mentored on the most proficient method to work at taking care of the supplement lines. His way of behaving is honest, and Gondu 3 Reverberation contemplates whether all ongoing residents at the compound went through that during purification. The quiet of the workplace is out of nowhere broken as a female resident, Lima 1 Alpha, breakdowns. Lima 1 Alpha is vigorously pregnant, and it seems she's started giving birth. Lincoln and Jordan track down the aces and spades, an unpleasant bar on the throughway. They go in and get some information about James McCord. The verbal shop talk utilized by individuals in the rest of the world riddles and puzzles both of them, yet the barkeep lets them know where McCord is, in the men's washroom. At McCord's home he comes clean with Lincoln and Jordan about their reality, how they're human clones intended to act as wellsprings of body parts for individuals they're cloned from. All they've been told about their lives is intended to hold them be. McCord likewise makes sense of their names. Lincoln and Jordan are the family names of their backers. Reverberation implies that Lincoln has been alive for a considerable length of time, while Delta implies Jordan is 4. The 2 in Jordan's name is a provincial code for New York, where Sarah Jordan lives. 6 is a local code for Los Angeles, where Lincoln's support, Tom Lincoln, lives. Lincoln and Jordan do a pursuit on their patrons. Tom Lincoln isn't recorded in the catalog, however Sarah Jordan is. The index puts a video phone call to Sarah's home. A little child gets the telephone. "Mama, is that you?" Jordan is stunned. She's conversing with her support's young child. Lincoln and Jordan do a pursuit on their patrons. Tom Lincoln isn't recorded in the catalog, however Sarah Jordan is. The index puts a video phone call to Sarah's H. The following day, Lincoln and Jordan get a ride to Tom Lincoln's bequest. Lincoln looks into what resembles a surveillance camera close to the entryway. It peruses his retinal prints, which are a counterpart for his supports. The entryway opens for them. Both of them head inside and find photographs of Tom Lincoln riding quick cruisers and vehicles, pictures Lincoln perceives. They likewise track down a little model showcase of the Renault Waggio. At that point, Tom, however, he freezes in shock and surprise when he sees Lincoln's face. Lincoln acquaints himself with his support, saying, "I'm your insurance contract." Tom Lincoln can say, "And what are you doing in my home?" As the lift go on down, visualizations play along the walls reporting a lottery, and depictions of a wonderful, peaceful island among shimmering blue sea. Lincoln 6 Reverberation shows up at the Turnout community for work. He and a resident named Jones 3 Reverberation, Ethan Phillips, are utilizing injector instruments to take care of supplements into tubes that lead to where the residents fail. Dr. Merrick needs to run a few clinical trials on Lincoln 6 Reverberation. He brings him into a diagnostic room and seats him serenely on a leaning back seat. However, despite the fact that the recollections they have of their individual young lives, families, and lives before the defilement are fundamental memory engraves, fine subtleties having been lost after their openness to tainting. Different ladies close to her are euphoric for her, as a wheelchair is called. Lima 1 Alpha is currently bound to go to the island with her child. He says the miniature sensors will ride along Lincoln 6 Reverberation's optic nerve and transfer information for 24 hours, after which they'll drop of Lincoln 6 Reverberation through his pee, which Dr. Merrick concedes could hurt the compound he and Jordan have gotten away from. Totally bothered, McCord steps out of the restroom, gathers Jordan, who's begun to become inebriated from the alcohol she'd been served, and carries her and Lincoln has advanced toward the reactor that controls the holographic power matrix, and perceives how to close it down. As he pulls the switch to overburden the reactor fan, he's gone after by Dr. Merrick. Merrick is astounded and dazzled. Lincoln 6 Reverberation might have assumed control over his support's life, yet rather has returned. At the point when he says, "You really are interesting, 6 Reverberation," Lincoln affirms, "I am Lincoln." And the walkway on which Merrick and Lincoln battle has fallen to pieces, and Dr. Merrick is hanged by the spear link. His body going about as a stabilizer, Lincoln can move to somewhere safe. The island closes with Jordan and Lincoln aboard a completed Renault Waggio as it cruises through crystal blue waters, taking them to a new life. Tom Lincoln, who dissimilar to his Agne talks with a Scottish pronunciation, is a fashioner of quick, extravagant boats, vehicles and cruisers. He partakes in any sort of fast ride and has made a fortune offering his plans to producers. Renault Waggio. Jordan gives Lincoln her tri-key and lets him know he needs to happen to the holographic control framework. Lincoln goes into Area 6 while Jordan watchfully starts following the security accompanies